Well, folks, Joe Biden is very unpopular. And one of the reasons he's very unpopular is because of videos like this one in which illegal immigrants chant his name. Joe Biden is having trouble on a number of fronts. The media are trying to chalk it up to the Israel-Hamas war. That is not why he's having trouble. In fact, his approval ratings are basically stagnant. They've been stagnant for quite a while because he is not very good at, the president thing. I'm looking at his approval ratings right now. And what you see is that Joe Biden's approval ratings right now, basically the same as they were, back in like July of 2022. Nothing has really changed. He's been pretty stagnant. The reason for that is because there are a bunch of boiling problems. One of those problems continues to be illegal immigration. In fact, tape emerged yesterday. This is not going to be good for Joe Biden. Tape emerged yesterday of illegal immigrants on their way to the United States. And as they were marching, they were cheering Joe Biden's name.
Biden! 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 Biden!
Well, that's every Republican attack ad from now until the election. It's just young men. I mean, it's entirely young men there, right? Not a lot of women and children in that crowd. These are the supposed refugees, and they are cheering Joe Biden's name. When you connect that to the fact that the illegal immigration is so bad that Texas literally had to this week absorb land in the Rio Grande in an attempt to stop illegal immigration. According to the UK Daily Mail, the Texas General Land Office announced in April state troopers could clear out 2 islands near Eagle Pass. 5 months later, Land Commissioner Dawn Buckingham added another in Fronton as part of Operation Flat Top. Texas pointed to old maps that claimed the islands in the middle of the Rio Grande were always part of Texas. Fronton Island is the largest. It measures about 170 acres. Once full of lush greenery, it has been stripped to dirt and lined with barbed wire in the past week. Why? Because illegal immigrants were showing up, and then they were using this as the launching point to cross the Rio Grande. Fronton Island, known as the single most dangerous spot on the southern border, is cleared to patrol, Buckingham tweeted on November 1st. Lieutenant Chris Olivares told News 4 San Antonio the reclaimed islands were mostly used for illegal border crossings. He said, "We see the influx of illegal immigrants coming across. They would use those pieces of land as a refuge." Not just Mexican migrants either. Data from the Department of Homeland Security showed thousands of Chinese migrants illegally crossed the Rio Grande by way of Mexico in 2023. By the way, there are terrorist threats who cross the Rio Grande too. It turns out that when you can't actually clear people who are crossing the border, you have no idea who they are. Cartel soldiers have been crossing the border using these islands. So Texas literally had to claim islands in the middle of the Rio Grande just to clear them of the possibility of being used for illegal immigration. If you take a look around your house, you'll notice that your window treatments are probably pretty old. You haven't thought about them in a long time. When you moved into your place, you saw curtains, you're like, they're curtains. Or you saw blinds, you're like, they're blinds. What's the big deal? And now that I've said it, you're looking right at the windows. I know you are. And you're saying to yourself, those are pretty ugly. You need to replace them. It will save you energy. It'll make the light flow in your house in a better way. Blinds.com can help make all of that happen. Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings with over 40,000 5-star reviews. You can measure and install it yourself or have Blinds.com take care of it with local professionals. There's no showroom, no retail markets. No matter how many you order, installation is just one low cost. If you don't have an eye for design, Blinds.com experts are always available to help choose the style and color that's right for you. Everything they sell is covered by their perfect fit and 100% satisfaction guarantee. With hundreds of styles and colors to choose from, Blinds.com is sure to have the perfect treatment for your windows. Thanks to Blinds.com's Veterans Day sale, you'll be able to get an amazing deal on great blinds for your home as well. Shop that Veterans Day sale. It's happening right now. Save up to 45% off plus doorbusters. Up to 45% off at Blinds.com. When you check out online, don't forget to tell them you heard about Blinds.com from the Ben Shapiro Show. Rules and restrictions may apply. Veterans Day is now upon us. It's time we step up and help give back to those who have served our nation's armed forces. This is where Black Rifle Coffee Company comes in. As a veteran-founded company, Black Rifle's mission has always been to support and empower fellow servicemen and women. Thanks to all of you who grabbed a can of ready-to-drink coffee this year, Black Rifle Coffee Company has been able to raise $500,000 for the Boot campaign. This massive donation will be put to work to help restore the lives of veterans and their families. It wouldn't have been possible without your help. So drink more coffee. Where you choose to shop matters. Thanks to the hardworking Americans who get their premium coffee from Black Rifle, they were able to donate over $400,000 to the Medal of Honor Museum and $75,000 to the Vets Gala to help provide essential mental health services for the veterans who need them most. This commitment goes beyond just great coffee and giving back. Veterans Day is also about honoring our service members by sharing their stories. Head on over to blackriflecoffee.com. Hear the incredible story of Marine recon legend Clint Trial. Take the time to honor all of those who serve and sacrifice so much for our freedoms this Veterans Day. That's blackriflecoffee.com. Black Rifle Coffee is indeed America's coffee. blackriflecoffee.com. It is indeed America's coffee. In your latest horrible illegal immigration crime story, Jazz Shaw reporting over at Hot Air. This week, ICE managed to arrest an illegal immigrant from Honduras in Virginia. He was charged with felony rape by force, threat, or intimidation, abduction by force, and assault on a family member. That's bad enough by itself, but after digging into this dirtbag's background story, it becomes even worse. This is the third time he has been arrested on similar charges, and yet somehow he keeps winding up back on the streets. They know where, when, and how he got into the country. How many more like him are lurking out there? Apparently, he entered the United States on an unknown date at an unknown location. He was not inspected or admitted by an immigration official. He was previously arrested by Border Patrol near Roma, Texas in June 2021. He was then given that famous notice to appear before a DOJ immigration judge. And then he just absconded. He was later arrested in July 2023 by the Hernan Police Department and charged with felony rape by force, threat, or intimidation, abduction by force, and assault on a family member. So he's been in the country since 2021. He was detained at the border. He was told to show up in court. And then he just went and did like a series of violent crimes. There's a lot of this going on in the United States. If you want to make Donald Trump president, this is a great way to do it. And Joe Biden has been facilitating that. Meanwhile, when it comes to the economy, it is clear that Jerome Powell really has no tools at his disposal. He really doesn't know what to do at this point. The fact is that the economy continues to run hot, despite the fact that the interest rates are now up well above 5%. If it continues to run hot at this rate, the inflation is going to continue. Not only is the inflation going to continue, wage price spirals are going to continue, which means you feel poorer tomorrow than you did yesterday. Even if the rate of inflation is decreasing, inflation itself is still increasing. Which is why yesterday, Fed Chair Jerome Powell indicated that the central bank would not declare an end to its historic interest rate increases until it had more evidence that inflation was actually cooling. According to the Wall Street Journal, price and wage pressures have eased recently. Powell is disappointed, however, because he thinks that the Fed is more likely to tighten policy than ease it if any change is warranted. He pointed to earlier inflation head fakes, past episodes in which price pressures ebbed for a little while before surprising Fed officials by picking it up again. He said they would monitor economic conditions closely to avoid both the risk of having been misled by a few months of data as well as the risk of having raised rates too high. So those interest rates could be going up anyway. By the way, if you're looking for a new mortgage, again, we have not actually seen the bubble burst yet. Because the mortgage rates are so unbelievably high, people are not actually selling their houses. Because they're not selling their houses, that means that there's no inventory. Because there's no inventory, the prices have not yet dropped. There will come a point here where people start to lose their jobs and can't afford their current mortgages, and then you are going to see a serious real estate bubble burst. I will say one thing for Jerome Powell. I was very amused yesterday. Jerome Powell was confronted by protesters. Protesters started trying to interrupt him, and he dropped an F-bomb. Here's what it sounded like.
GDP growth in the third quarter was quite strong, but like most forecasters, we expect growth to moderate in coming quarters. Of course.
Jerome Powell, by refusing to treat climate change like a systemic risk,
thank you.
You are putting us at
Thank you very much.
economic disaster.
Thank you very much.
Climate change
Yep.
will threaten.
Thank you. Just close this door. Close the door.
At least that, by the way. I will say that I am enjoying the spectacle. There are some people who are now treating protesters with precisely the scorn they deserve. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.